Will the clerk read the verdict?
The jury finds Lawrence J. Bradshaw guilty of attempt to commit criminal homicide in the 3rd degree, guilty of aggravated assault, guilty of recklessly endangering another person.
Next, please.
I'd like to make a withdrawal from this account, please. Let me just check the balance first.
Just a moment, please.
$14.70? That's impossible.
I'm sorry, sir. The computer shows 3 withdrawals totaling $3,688.43 by your joint account co-signer of Francis Schroeder. Next in line, please.
I'll wait for her call. Tell her it's very important. My situation, as I told her, is desperate. She must restore the balance in the account. I gave you the number. Oh, all right. It's 555-3405. Francis. Oh, Francis, my dear.
Don't talk to him.
Good morning, Francis. Good morning, Ashley. Let us walk upon the strand and talk of many things, like the walrus and the carpenter, of $3,688.43, to be exact. And the little oysters answered not a word.
Dickie, would you please at least make sense?
I have heard all of the following from Mark several times over. You were moving, you were having difficulties with your bank, your son, your mother, sisters, lawyers, all of the above. Your medical problems have been called to my attention.
You will get your money as soon as my father's estate is settled. Until then, I simply don't have it, Dickie. Taxi! Taxi!
Oh, believe me, I don't doubt your problems. I have my own to contend with. But before you toot off to Southampton this summer, you might conceivably make good my funds. It's just car fare for your crowd. Get the money from Bernice, the keeper of your hope. She's back, I know, and staying with you. For God's sake, Francis, look where you're living. Gracie Square. You've got it all. Why take my little bit? I need it at the moment very badly.
As soon as my father's estate is settled, Dickie.
I want you to know I have contacted your lawyers.
Thank you very much, Dickie. I'll be calling you soon. Go to Fifth Avenue.
I just don't understand how you could take advantage of our old relationship in this house. I helped you before Bernice or Franklin or anybody helped you. I spied on your first husband for you. I babysat Mark and Larry. Yes, the number of Robert or Marilyn Reagan, please. It's West End Avenue, I believe. That's it.
Hello?
Hello, is this Mrs. Reagan?
Yes, this is Marilyn Reagan.
This is Richard Barron's.
What? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. You have to speak up.
My name is Richard Barron's. You might remember we met. I'm a friend of your sister Frances. I'm calling about a small financial matter. I can't seem to get any satisfaction from her. I'm sort of a confidant of hers. I lent her money back in 1963, during her first divorce. I know Frances very well indeed. I lent her my credit card. No one lends their credit card, believe me. We were that close. Please, don't tell me about our Frances. These days, Frances is living in a mighty luxurious style. That's what makes me angry. I'm the one who should know what kind of person she is. Money disappears in her presence like a snowflake on a hot stove.
There's her name on the list of patrons, right there with the Kennedys and the rest of them. Frances gave us these tickets deliberately just to prove that she'd won. She's got Mom on her side now.
Our club, Wine Tasters in Salt Lake City. We're a hardy bunch, believe me. Like shot-over hound dogs, we only start to loosen up when we get out of range. Well, the boat leaves New York, and it is so much fun. Oh, Bermuda was a bit of a letdown. I mean, it was all right, but too many Texans. The real fun was our gang on the boat, and the crew, they waited on us hand and foot. Music and dancing all the time. Oh, we had this fabulous dance teacher. I learned how to do the tango.
Show me, Granny. Show me how.
Yeah, Granny. Come on, show us how you do it.
Well, we don't have any music. I'll show you the steps. Well, first you go forward. 1 and 2 and turn. And 1 and 2 and turn.
Why are you keeping her up so late? You know she has dance class tomorrow.
She wanted to stay up to hear all about your evening.
Oh, Mommy, you look just wonderful.
You see? I told you when she gets dressed up, she looks like a movie star. Tell us, how did it go? We want to hear all about it.
I was terrified all night. But it was a triumph. A triumph for Mr. Balanchine.
I'll get some Timo.
Come over here and let me fix your hair. Those ribbons look stupid. I told you not to play with her like a doll. Just keep your hands off her.
What was the dancing like?
Words cannot describe dancing. Dancing is everything that words are not. Mr. Balanchine understands the very essence of the human soul better than anyone alive today.
It must be wonderful for you to be there. It's the same way I felt in Las Vegas that time. I was simply transported.
Who asked you what you thought or what you think? How dare you mention Las Vegas in this house? Do you think that just because you're rich, that you can stay under my roof and insult me and Mr. Balanchine to my face? Teaching my daughter all of those cheap dances you learn on your cruises.
No, that's not true. Don't say that in front of Ashley.
You think you're fooling, pretending to be such a good grandmother, the way you pretended to be such a good mother to me. I don't want you near Ashley. Why don't you go to Maryland? You've been talking to her on the phone lately, haven't you? You wouldn't dare tell me what you said to her to my face, would you? You know you'd get into trouble.
Yes, Uncle Dickie, you have told me all this before, and I told Mom. She said she'll take care of it.
I am at the end of my rope.
Oh, Uncle Dickie.
I keep asking myself, why is your mother doing this to an old friend? She must pay me back this money. And, by the way, I still have something that belongs to you.
Oh, yes. I've been meaning to pick that up. Uncle Dickie, I've got to go. I've got to bring some tea to my mom. I'll tell her you called tonight about the money, and we'll get back to you.
Now, Mark.
Good night.
I just got back from Salt Lake City. I know Larry's the one. He murdered my father, then he dropped the gun from a plane into the Great Salt Lake. I found my father's keys in his room. He attacked his roommate with a hammer. He's in a hospital for the criminally insane. I offered a reward for $10,000 on behalf of the family, but the police can't find the gun. I know Larry did it. Help me prove it.
You're absolutely wrong, Marilyn. You got the wrong boy.
How can you say that? How do you know for sure?
Because Mark did it. He told me.
Mark wasn't in Salt Lake City. Larry was. What about the gun?
I have the gun right here. Mark gave it to me.
Ooh, well, what did you learn at school today? Did your teacher ask you about the definition of a sentence? Don't you remember we studied that last night? Sit down, Mark. Don't look over at him. Pay attention. Your teacher says you never pay attention. What is the definition of a sentence? A sentence begins with a what? Oh, last year, we used to laugh together over all the things you used to tell me. You learned not to be afraid of Mom.
I know. Sometimes I forget.
Turn around. I'm afraid I'm being followed.
I'm going to need more details for the police.
No way. Not till they check out the gun. Only two things Mark told me. He bought it from a sheriff in Texas, and he got the money for it from your father.
I'd like to talk to the highest officer on duty. You'll have to take this bag.
This paper,
I haven't touched it. Please take this. It was just handed to me on the street. I believe it contains a gun.
Go on, Carmine. You can open your presents before Christmas.
I think it's the gun that killed my father 2 years ago in Salt Lake City. Please contact the Salt Lake City Police immediately.
Now remember, I told them you don't have to answer any questions if you don't want to. Mark, this is Sergeant Campbell and Sergeant Boyles from the Salt Lake City Police.
Hello? Mark, we'd like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Well, if you gentlemen would like to speak with me, it'll have to be done in court.
Guess I'm gonna have to get a search warrant to talk to this guy.
It'll take months for an out-of-state warrant.
What's that?
It's my all-purpose warrant.
Second floor.
You've been busy, haven't you? How is Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Dickie?
If you want to know, why don't you call her yourself?
Barons! We're police officers. We just want to ask you a few questions.
I'm Richard Barons. Thank God you're here. Come on in quickly, gentlemen. I'm being watched. I don't know why I kept the gun. If I was smart, I'd have thrown it out. On the other hand, I started thinking I am the only person outside the family who really knew about this thing. That is not a good position to be in with someone who has a record for turning on husbands, fathers, sisters, sons. I started thinking about what might happen. She's tried to hire a hitman before.
Don't be afraid of involving her, okay? Just level with us.
I'm trying to. I'm not holding out on you. You don't have a cigarette on you, do you? Either of you?
He's a Mormon and I don't smoke. Now, you heard her discussing the homicide with Mark? And Mark talking about it in front of her?
She's a weird gal. I don't know if she planned it or who planned it.
But you heard Mark discussing the murder with her, right? Listen, you knowingly kept a murder weapon for over 2 years. Do you know the penalty for conspiring to commit a capital crime?
Now, when Mark came back from Salt Lake after the murder, you were there. They were probably discussing the homicide then, weren't they?
It wasn't like that. I didn't see Francis and Mark till later in the evening, I think. I can't remember who came over first.
85 cents.
I believe Mark did and dumped the gun on me. All I know is the kid's very headstrong. You see, there's no father in the family. Mark had to assume a role. She put a lot of pressure on him. She could be absolutely cold on this. Cold, very cold.
Dear Dick, I haven't heard from you for several days.
Please call and confirm that you are still around. I enclose $20. Marilyn. It's a dangerous game, Dickie. You had the gun. They put you away for 20 years. That's $1 a year. But you wouldn't last 20 minutes in prison, would you, Dickie? 20 minutes would be a very long time for you, Dickie. What did you tell the police?
I also told them how I got the gun from Mark. It's all on tape.
Don't you remember, Dickie? I gave you the gun. I don't know why you didn't get rid of that thing.
I thought you might need it again.
Did anyone see you give it to Marilyn?
No. No, I took care of that. We weren't followed.
Maybe you didn't give it to Marilyn. Maybe Marilyn gave it to you, but you wouldn't take it. You were too smart for that, Rick.
But I told the police how I gave it to Marilyn.
No. Listen to me. That was all a lie, concocted by Marilyn to frame me. You were angry with me because of the money. You went along with it. Until now.
You mean it was all a lie? The whole thing, from A to Z?
From A to Z. It was Marilyn's lie. Marilyn.
This kid must have liked a real cannon.
We can tell in a minute. I've already set up the bullet from the victim's body.
Looks like you're in the ballpark, gentlemen.
Well, then that's it. That's all we need for a warrant. Good work. Let's get going.
Thank you, Wade.
And then when you're finished typing, we'll get it notarized, and you personally will take it to our lawyers.
Yeah. It's gotta look like my conscience is bothering me.
And it is, Dickie. Because I am your conscience. It was Marilyn. Now it's me.
From the very beginning, I sensed that Marilyn Reagan's feelings towards her sister Frances were quite hostile. As time went on, I came to realize how deeply this hostility went within Marilyn's mind.
Bravo, Dickie. Bravo. Mark, get us some coffee.
Over a period, I became aware that Marilyn's thoughts and actions were bizarre and extreme in concept and conclusions reached. Marilyn, in effect, wished me to state that Mark had gone to Texas, gotten somehow to Utah, done his evil deed to grandfather, and dropped the gun off at my house.
Good.
Mark, isn't it beautiful?
Come on, darling. Let's go up to my room. We can wrap all the presents up there and bring them down later.
You could come, but it's a secret what Granny and I got Mom.
We got the warrant, and we've got corroborating witnesses in Texas that tie Mark to the gun. Larry's alibi is too good. He was up flying at the time of the murder. His polygraph confirms it. He may know something, but he didn't do it.
Mark, where's the coffee?
It's coming, Mom.
That leaves us with Mark. He's just a kid, but he pulled the trigger twice, once in the back, once in the head. He's that kind of kid.
What are you doing?
Just decorating the tree, Mom. Isn't it a beauty?
Mark, you know, if the police start coming around and investigating, it would be bad for Ashley. After Christmas, I think it would be a good idea if you moved into the YMCA until this whole thing blows over. Granny will give you the money. Hmm?
Sure, Mom. Merry Christmas.
I'm with the DA's office. We're looking for this man. Your place was listed by a witness as being frequented by Mark Schroeder.
Sure, he used to come in here.
Call Deli.
Jenny?
I can't talk right now. Don't come in. The police are looking for you. I've got to hang up.
Yes, Mr. Bentley, we have your reservation for two. Mrs. Schroeder called and said she cannot be here. You'll be dining alone tonight. She sent this message for you. I'll leave you a menu.
Mark, I've worked so hard to get what we have for the sake of the Schroeder family. For Ashley. For you. You're the man in the family. You understand? You must get out of the country. You must disappear until this blows over. You can't avoid the police forever.
Would you like to taste your wine, sir? Very good choice, sir. This was an excellent year.
Uncle Dickie's memory is fading. In a year or two, he'll be senile. He's already changed his story once. You must take a long trip. Out of the country. Brazil, Bolivia. Granny will provide the money if you go, but you must go quickly. Otherwise, there will be no more money ever. You won't share in the inheritance if you get caught. But you must leave now. Do you hear me, Mark? You must leave now. Mark! Get out! Go! Get out! 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 Get out!
Here's to you, Mom. You always win. How's my girl?
You old bear, I've missed you.
Oh, I've missed you too. Listen, I'm gonna go talk to Granny, okay? You go on and play. All right? Mom wants me to leave the country, you know.
Well, she's set on it. You know how she is. Why take any chances? If they catch you, the whole thing would hurt your mother and Ashley.
I know, Granny, but I like it here in New York, you know. Well, it's the only place I know, and it's a big place, Granny. They're never gonna find me here.
There's no more money unless you leave.
Well, you better give me $10,000 for a passport, because I can't use my own name, you know.
All right. Don't get excited. You'll upset Ashley.
You listen to me. I want that money. Or I'll take Ashley, and we'll disappear from here right now. Gee, just think what Mom will do then, huh? And you'll be responsible, you know that?
Well, I can't write a check now. I will when I get home. I promise. I'll send it special delivery. Today. Mark?
Mine. My turn. 4.
Ostrich! Ostrich! How come you're all dressed up? Are the police really looking for you?
No, Ashley, I'm playing games with them, that's all. Having a lot of fun, too. You know, that's one thing Mom never lets you do. You know, have fun. I can do anything I want right now.
You touch!
I did not. My hand did not touch the ground. Come here. Listen to me, okay? You know Mom wants me to go away for a while, right? But guess what? I'm gonna come back. For you in a couple of years when you get a little older. I'm gonna be wealthy, Ashley. Hey, and you and I can go sail off together somewhere on my yacht. Would you like that? Don't forget our promise, okay? You and I, we have a little secret. You won't forget?
I won't. I won't forget.
Okay.
Ashley! Honey, we got to go.
You be a good girl, okay?
Come on, honey.
Take 5 men reference verifying no to 11 on command. 1691, sir.
Damn, Granny. Promise. Excuse me, sir, can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, your parcel's been sent over to the Fifth Avenue office by mistake. You gotta go over there and pick it up.
Mark Schroeder, I have a warrant for your arrest for the murder of Franklin J. Bradshaw.
Please.
Don't worry. Granny will have you right out on bail. You're the man of the Schroeder family. You must face it like a man. We're counting on you.
Sir, can I pay the cabs first?
You gotta be kidding.
Bail is set for $100,000 with the usual reporting instructions. Is the defendant able to make bail?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Schroeder's grandmother has made arrangements for bail.
What are those arrangements?
It means
We
no
have in our possession
restrictions.
a
It means he can
$100,000
phone it if he wants to. He can even leave the country.
Prepared to tender
It's
that
a good thing I'm a pessimist, Ernie. I've already got a tail waiting for him
upon receipt of
outside.
that check, Mr. Schroeder be released.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Mark Schroeder.
Oh, you're the guy who called about the car.
Yeah.
Great. This here's Monique. Want to say hi to Mr. Schroeder?
I think she's asleep.
Yeah. Oh, come on, I'll show you the car.
Careful.
Oh, yeah, I got it. So, you know Calvin Long?
We were in county jail together.
What are you in for?
They got me on a drug charge. Nothing really major, though. Calvin said some relative owned the car.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Wife's some sort of relative, even to Calvin. It's my car.
Oh.
Calvin needs bail money.
Do you mind if I...
No, go ahead. Oh, wait, here.
Thanks. You been married long?
I don't have enough money for gas to drive it, but every day Monique and I come and sit in it and run it for a while to keep the battery up. It does start. It's a real good car for someone that loves it.
Looks like he's gonna buy a car from the Juicy Blonde.
Gonna drive to Mexico, maybe?
Not in that car, he's not.
Mr. Richardson. Oh, I'm so terribly sorry we're late. I had to take my son to the hospital. He had an attack. Darling, go get your costume on.
No, I'm sorry. Ashley won't be dancing this afternoon. Once the understudy's in costume, she dances. That's the rule.
Oh? What rule is that?
Go and do your warm-up, my dear. You'll be the alternate.
Mr. Richardson, she must perform. Her brother is dying. She must perform. I'm on the board, you know. I could report you to your superiors.
Mrs. Schroeder, Ashley can get the parts on her own. If she's to have any chances in the future, it's important that people not think it's because of your position or influence bending the rules. Excuse me.
I fell in love with you the first time I laid eyes on you through this green door. You got real kind eyes when you look at Monique.
Let's get back into bed. The floor's too dirty to stand on with bare feet. If I don't keep walking, I'm going to stick to it.
Why don't you move in? I'll clean it up for you.
I don't know. You're still married to Calvin, you know. He's in jail. Doesn't seem right.
Calvin doesn't mean anything to me. Things are over between us. I was just dumb enough to marry the first guy that asked me.
How old were you?
25. Listen to me, Mr. Blue Eyes. I really want you to move in with me and Monique. She loves you, too.
Tell you what. If you clean your floor and don't stick to it, I'll stay.
Give me 2 hours. First thing in the morning. My sweet Mr. Clean.
Hi, Granny.
I just talked to your lawyers. They expect a preliminary hearing in 4 or 5 weeks. You haven't got much time. Have you found a car yet?
No. Not yet.
Well, you got the passport I paid $10,000 for. If I were you, I'd jump on a ship and be gone somewhere. Instead, you're sitting here like a rabbit.
You know, Granny, no one seems to understand the fact that if I do leave the country, that means I also take the sin. I won't be able to come back here, ever.
Don't talk like that. Do you know what will happen once that trial begins? To you, to your mother, to Ashley? This isn't a game. Once that trial starts, you're not going to be able to make it come out like you want to. This is our last chance to keep the family together.
Well, why me? Why is it always me who has to do the crappy parts? Mom won't even answer any of my phone calls. If I'm going to take this in, Granny, I at least want to talk to her.
All right. Take it easy. I've got your money right here.
Do you think Mom would answer your phone calls if you didn't have all this money? She used to put the telephone in the closet when she thought you were going to call and let it ring just to see how long you'd keep trying.
Mark. How you doing tonight?
Go inside the house, please.
You know, it's too bad you missed your hearing today. Your bail's been revoked. You're under arrest.
I forgot. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. I have to call my lawyers.
Mark, what's going on here? What do you really want it for?
I'm wanted for the murder of my grandfather.
Did you do it?
No. Now, please, go inside the house.
Come on, Mark, let's go.
You'll be 6, down to 5, number 4. You'll be 3, 2, and 1.
All right, turn and face left. Face front. Okay, you can take him out, Marilyn.
This way, please.
Number 5. It's been almost 4.5 years since you sold that airline ticket. Why are you so certain number 5 is the one?
Because it was unusual for a boy to have that much cash. And it was a complicated ticket. New York to Texas, and Texas to Salt Lake via Phoenix. But it was something else. Something about his eyes. I can't explain it.
In the middle of July of 1978, you were the intermediary in the sale of a weapon in Midland, Texas. Is this that weapon?
That sure looks like it. I didn't handle it myself, but I saw it up close. Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum, fine gun.
In the course of that transaction, you met the person who bought that weapon. If that person is in this courtroom, would you point him out to us, please?
Yes, that's him, right there.
Do you recall what the defendant told you about working for his grandfather that summer?
Well, one thing he told me was that he put stimulants in his grandfather's oatmeal in an attempt to induce a heart attack.
Oh, objection, Your Honor. There's been no proper foundation.
Overruled.
Did he tell you how he got that idea?
Yes. From his mother. It was her idea.
Considering Richard Barron's testimony, are you seeking a warrant for Francis Schroeder at this time?
I can't comment on that. Let's try one case at a time.
Mr. Jones?
How did you meet Francis Schroeder, Mr. Manning?
Through a mutual acquaintance, Richard Barron's, he introduced us.
What was the purpose of this introduction?
She was looking for somebody to kill her father.
Did you agree to do that?
No. But I told her I could arrange it. And then she asked me how much, and I said, it will cost you $5,000.
How did you arrive at this figure?
Basically, that's what I owed out.
Owed out?
Yeah, different bills, you know. A couple of bar tabs, bookies, parking tickets, outstanding obligations, the usual. And then she showed me a photo of an old guy, gray hair, he's standing in front of an old warehouse. He was the target. And then she asked me, how will it be done? And I told her, that is none of your business. And then she said, well, it had to be done quickly, it had to look like an accident or a holdup.
Did you do it?
Of course not. Hey, I told you that.
Hello. Yeah, Steve.
That's right. The teletype is a confirmation. Yeah, the warrant for Frances is on the way by express mail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I could be there. You're going to have the pleasure of arresting her.
That's perfect. Look at yourself in the mirror. You like it?
I like it, Mommy.
Let me see that one.
This is a late Art Nouveau design.
My father loved Art Nouveau. What do you think, darling?
It's wonderful, Mommy.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Hmm.
Mr. Schroeder, by the power vested in me by the people of the state of Utah, you're bound over to stand trial in 3rd District Court on a charge of criminal homicide, murder in the 1st degree.
Keep reading.
I shouldn't even be talking to you. I'm still Mark's lawyer, remember?
I know you're Mark's lawyer, and he trusts you. I have no one else to call. I can't reach my own lawyer. The police are here with a warrant.
Mrs. Schroeder, if they have a valid warrant, then let them in. At this point, that's all you can do.
I can't let them in. My daughter's here. They mustn't harm her. I want that warrant stopped. This cannot happen to Ashley. Please, keep reading. Please, call me back immediately.
Madam, Mr. Perman just called. I'm afraid they're coming up.
No, they can't. Don't let them in. Tell them I'm not here.
All right, madam. I'll do my best.
Hello? What? No! Wrong number.
You ready? To the boss.
It's all right. It's all right, darling.
Please.
I'm Investigator Stephen Klein, and I'm with the District Attorney's Office. Now, I have a warrant for the arrest of Frances Schroeder. Now, open the door.
Mrs. Schroeder is not here. I cannot open the door.
Take it down.
There's a state's contention that Frances Schroeder wanted her inheritance. She wanted it now. She needed somebody to carry out her dirty little plan. The state will show that she tried to hire a paid killer, but finally she turned to her own flesh and blood, to her own son. She wanted Mark Schroeder to kill her father, Franklin Bradshaw, and he did it. Killed his own grandfather. 2 shots. One to the back, and one to the head.
Oh, my goodness. She's here.
Mrs. Schroeder, please sit down.
Mommy, there's Mary.
It's good of you to come for the school at a time like this.
Well, thank you, David. I owe it to Ashley.
Does she know you've been in jail?
Well, she was told that I was ill. But when she found out, she was very happy.
You're looking very thin. I can see how difficult it's been for you. What are the chances in your case, do you think? Does it depend on your son's trial?
No, not at all. My lawyers have told me not to discuss it. But they've said that my chances for total acquittal are very good. Very, very good.
Well, that should please Ashley.
Yes. Thank you for being so kind to us.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defense will show where the true responsibility for this crime lies. Our case will speak for itself. We call Dr. Lewis Mensch to the stand.
Please raise your right hand.
What do they have in mind? They sure aren't going to be able to plead insanity.
I know. And sometimes I forget. And make mistakes. I'm sorry.
I told you, that's all right. You mustn't be afraid to make mistakes. I'm not a scary person, Ashley. Just tell me what the definition of a sentence is. Just tell me what the definition of a sentence is. A sentence begins with a what? What is a sentence, you little dummy? Don't you remember?
Now, Dr. Mensch, in the course of your evaluation of Mark Schroeder, you listened to this entire recording.
Yes, I did. Several times.
And how would you characterize the conversation you heard on that recording?
An interchange between mother and daughter lasting approximately an hour. The girl is 6 years old. The mother is verbally threatening the child to give the definition of a simple sentence. The child cries throughout. Extreme pressure by an all-powerful adult in the most psychologically destructive form. At one point, she threatens to put the child in a mental institution.
Doctor, assuming this sort of behavior actually took place in Mark Schroeder's family from an early age, what kind of psychological effect would this have on him?
I think it would have a profound effect. That his first priority would always be to please mother, to prevent her from doing anything dangerous to herself or to him or to Ashley.
Your Honor, Mark Schroeder waives his attorney-client privilege of confidentiality. He wishes his attorney, Nathan Stein, to testify on his behalf. In the 2-week period beginning November of 1981, you were Mark Schroeder's lawyer. Your logbook shows 50 hours of conference time during that period.
That is correct.
Did there come a time in these conversations when Mark admitted to you involvement in the murder of his grandfather?
Yes, sir, he did.
And what did he admit to you concerning this crime?
He said that he and his brother Larry murdered their grandfather.
Did he state to you at that time whether his mother was involved?
Yes, sir. He said she was not. I pressed him for more detail about how it happened. His story changed from time to time. It wasn't easy on him. I told him I thought more people must have been involved. Where did he get the money for the gun and the trip? His story didn't gel. I pressed him on the involvement of his mother. I yelled at him. I told him I couldn't help him unless he told me the truth. He kept denying he knew anything. Finally, I asked him who was the most important person in his life. He answered, his mother. Then I asked him one more time if his mother was involved. He looked at me, and then he said yes, very quietly. And he put his head down on the table, and he wept a long time. He told me that for a year and a half prior to the murder, his mother told him his grandfather had to be killed. Finally, she selected him as the one who had to do it.
It was a bombshell. The boy's New York lawyer said that Mark told him the whole story. The kid just sat there reliving it.
amounts to a full confession.
The lawyer couldn't testify without his permission. The kid's accusing his mother by proxy.
Yeah, that's right. His mother told him to do it. It was her plan. He was a good boy. He did what he was told.
That's right.
Mark Francis Schroeder, based upon the facts as determined from the evidence, the jury found you guilty of intentionally and knowingly causing the death of Franklin Bradshaw. I think the evidence would support a finding that the defendant acted upon the desires and wishes of another person, not for his own personal gain. You've been found guilty of criminal homicide, murder in the second degree. However, because of the extreme nature of this crime, I can show no leniency in this matter. I'm going to impose the full measure of the law. Mark Francis Schroeder, under the laws and statutes of the state of Utah, I sentence you to an indeterminate period of 5 years to life, with an additional 6 years for the use of a firearm, to be served consecutively.
Step down. Through the glass doors, gentlemen. Welcome to Utah State Prison.
Everyone at the ballet knows I'm innocent, but I had to spend 5 weeks in that filthy New York jail. If I have to come to Salt Lake City to be booked, I will. But I'm coming right back home. You paid $500,000 bail. I'm out, and I intend to stay out permanently.
Go. Relax. Don't worry, it'll come off with soap and water.
Look at the camera. You're going to have to take that cross off. No jewelry allowed.
You can't take it. The man who gave it to me said I should wear it always. It's okay, honey. Just keep your hand over it. Come on, Charlie, take the picture.
Look at the camera.
There, dear, that wasn't so bad, was it? It's only a formality.
I've done what I had to do, and I'm going back to New York right now, and don't say another word.
Come on, move it. Come on, let's go.
Hey, man, if you killed your grandpa, what did you do with your mother? She looks real good to me on TV.
Watch out today. I hear they're going to be looking for you in the yard.
I'm getting a little tired of these handcuffs. Aren't you?
I guess you still don't think I'm going to Mexico then, huh?
Well, if you do, that means that I get to go too. I've never been to Mexico.
Thanks, Mr. George. Okay.
We just want to go over some of the testimony from your trial.
You were surprised I got second degree, weren't you? Thought you had a big first in the bag, huh?
Nope. In fact, your trial taught me something. Question is, did it teach you anything? You having any trouble on dog block? Guys shaking you down, hitting on you?
That's nothing. Just a couple guys talking to me, but it's nothing serious. They thought I had money when they saw my mom on TV.
You got money? As far as I can tell, I've seen your brokerage statement.
Well, I'm not going to pay anybody. I can take anything they give me.
Mark, we want you to testify at your mother's trial. And the only thing we can offer you is an appearance before the Pardons Board when they determine your parole date. There are no guarantees.
No, I can't do that. I can't talk about my mother. But I'll listen to what you have to tell me if you buy me lunch.
You know, during the trial, I got a much better understanding of your situation, seeing and hearing your defense. Found out what it was like for you growing up. I talked to Dr. Mensch, and I listened to that tape of your mother and Ashley. The tape they played during the trial, you remember. It seems to me that's got to be the big question for you, is Ashley. Now, what is your mother going to make her do at some point in her life that won't be good for her? I think you should ask your lawyers for a copy of that tape. Exhibit 92.
I'll think about it.
Well, you better eat up, or you can bring your chicken with you. There's a man I want you to meet.
Sì. Momento, prego. Ah, Mr. George.
Mr. Gentili, here's your son, Marco.
Marco. Papa? Figlio mio. Let me look at you. Thanks to you, Mr. George, I see my son again after so many years.
Yeah, I'm gonna go read a paper for half an hour. I'll be back.
Come, sit down. I ordered some coffee. We don't have long to talk. You must think very hard, Marco, about what you're gonna do. This man, Mr. George, he didn't bring you here just because he's a nice man.
Papa, how can I testify against my own mother? That's what they want me to do.
You must think about your own life now. But you must tell the truth. It's not easy.
Papa, what would you do? The trial's in 2 weeks.
I'm going to testify. I'm going to tell them what kind of a woman your mama was. Nobody ever says no to your mama. Somebody must say no to her.
Last year, we used to laugh with each other over all the stories you used to tell me. You learned not to be afraid of Mom.
I know. But sometimes I forget. And make mistakes. I'm sorry.
I told you, that's all right. You must
mustn't be afraid to make mistakes. I'm not a scary person, Ashley. Just tell me what the definition of a sentence is.
Hey, Granny.
You look fine. Are they treating you all right?
Oh, yeah. Got my own room, taking some college courses.
That's good. It's important to have a plan. You should make the most of it.
Yeah. You know, I just decided to pretend like I'm going to college. You know, living in the dorm, taking as many courses as I can, and see if I can go to grad school afterwards.
You ought to study to be a lawyer. From the looks of my legal bills, they'll have all the money in the world pretty soon.
How's Mom?
They're all after her, like vampires. That prosecutor, Ernie Jones, he's the worst of the lot. I can't stand that man. The way he hounds Frances, it's inhuman. He's trying to destroy her. We know he's scrounging all the jails in the country trying to find another liar like that Manning fellow to say she hired him as a killer. It drives me to despair thinking about it.
I got a job, Granny, in the counseling office. They keep me pretty busy over there. And I'm trying to finish some of my term papers. I got one in psychology and the other one in pre-law. It's pretty interesting. You know what would help me a great deal? A typewriter. Electric typewriter. They're really the best.
I guess everybody needs a typewriter in college, don't they? Well, Mark, you just tell those high-priced lawyers to buy you the typewriter you want and put it on the bill.
Thanks, Granny. Thanks for coming, too.
You're still part of the family. You're not going to testify against your mom.
No, Granny. You know I won't do that. Oh, send my love to Ashley.
Mike explained to you the situation with the Board of Pardons. A personal appearance by us, but no guarantees. You understand that?
Ernie, you know my grandmother thinks you're a vampire.
Well, why don't we try a few questions? There's one crucial episode in this event that your testimony will have to nail down for the jury. The night before the murder, you made a phone call to your mother. You didn't want to do it. You wanted to call it off. You talked to her. By the time you had hung up, she had you turned around. What she said, what you said, that's what your testimony has to lay out for the jury.
Why? Why is it always me? Why is it always me who has to do these things? It's not fair. God, I don't want to kill anybody. I'd kill myself first. Don't make me do this thing. Please, don't. I don't want to do this.
I think we better be prepared to go without him. Okay. It's okay. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
I know. And sometimes I forget. And make mistakes. I'm sorry.
I told you, that's all right. You mustn't be afraid to make mistakes. I'm not a scary person, Ashley. Just tell me what the definition of a sentence is. Just tell me what the definition of a sentence is. A sentence begins with a what? What is a sentence, you little dummy? Don't you remember? It's in your book. It begins with a what? Cap? Capital what? Just shut up and tell me. You're stalling. Don't you cry. That's just an act. You belong in a zoo with all the other animals. Don't you dare look at Mark. Mark won't help you. He thinks you're a little dummy, too.
She made me a part of it.
Tell me what a sentence begins with, you little coward. A sentence begins with a capital. Say it! Say it! Talk! Why can't you talk? You talk all the time at school. Why can't you talk now?
Oh, please, stop, Mom. Don't. Let her alone! Please stop.
You will never learn anything! You will never go to pretty girls' parties. You will never go to pretty girls' schools. You will never get married because you'll never meet any boys. You'll never go out. There are special places where they put children who are disturbed and they never let them go out ever. And I will never come to see you, never. Never, 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 never. I will never come to see you, never.
Oh. Could have stopped. I never said a single word.
Mr. Schroeder, are you the gentleman who was convicted in this court of the murder of Franklin Bradshaw?
Yes, I am.
Your case is on appeal to the Utah Supreme Court.
You're under no obligation to answer any questions in this court.
Have you had the advantage of your lawyer's advice?
Yes, Your Honor. I've had the advice of several lawyers, and I've come to a decision.
And what is that?
I wish to testify at this time.
How old are you, Mark?
22.
Are you familiar with the defendant in this case?
Yes. She's my mother.
Mark, who killed Franklin Bradshaw?
I did. I shot him.
What was it that led you to kill your grandfather?
Well, my mother asked me to.
You recognize this gun?
Yeah, that looks like the one I bought in Texas.
Why'd you go to Texas? That's a long way from New York.
Well, my mom thought guns were easy to get a hold of in Texas. She called my school and got the address of this boy I knew from Midland, Texas. I didn't really know him that well, you know, but she made me call him anyway.
Where'd the money come from to buy this pistol?
Mom had me call Granny and tell her we needed money for rent or we'd be evicted. So Gramps sent her a check in my sister's name. She cashed it, gave it to me, and I bought the pistol and the airline tickets with it.
So your grandfather paid for everything connected with his murder?
That's right.
When you flew to Texas and then on to Salt Lake City, you used your brother's name. Why was that?
Mom didn't want my name on the ticket because if the police got suspicious, it would lead back to her. Larry didn't live with us at the time, so it was okay.
She suggested you use your brother's name.
She insisted on it.
Now, Mark, you flew to Texas and bought the gun, and then on to Salt Lake City. What did you do when you got here?
I took a cab to a motel. I can't remember the name.
You went to a motel, and then what did you do?
I then called Mom.
And what did you say to her?
I can't do this, Mom. Please. Please don't make me do this. There is no way I'm gonna go through with this. I just can't. I can't. Please, please, Mom. Will you please let me come home?
I can't. I can't. What do you mean, I can't, you little selfish sicko? It's a perfect plan. And you've got the gun. Listen to me, Mark. It's got to be done. He's an old miser, and he's destroying our family. He doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about Ashley. And I'm beginning to believe that you don't care about her either. Don't come home unless you do it.
Mom?
I told you, Mark. It's the only way. It's not really killing. It's the right thing to do. He's an old man, and he doesn't care about people. He only cares about money. You're the man of the family.
I cannot do this. Please. Please let me come home.
Doors can open and doors can close permanently.
Mark, how long did you talk on the phone with your mother that night?
Hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. I don't know.
Mark, in the course of that conversation with your mother, did you start to cry?
Yes.
Why were you crying?
Because I didn't want to do it. That's all. I just didn't. But she made it clear to me, you know? You better do this or don't come back home. Or else the doors will be locked.
And so you went ahead with the plan?
Yes. I took 4 cabs. I got there early and waited. Hi, Gramps.
What are you doing here?
Mom sent me to talk to you.
I know what she wants to talk about.
Why won't you send her any more money?
I'm tired of giving your mother money. She knows why. She doesn't deserve it.
You've got lots of money, Gramps. Why?
I'm tired of throwing money into the street. She's had too much already.
That's not an answer.
Well, that's all the answer she's getting from me. Now, I've got work to do.
Pulled out all his pockets, you know, like his wallet. There was $7, $8 in there. And I scattered all his credit cards around, you know.
Why did you do that?
Because Mom said, make it look like a robbery.
what did you do with the gun?
I took it back to New York City and gave it to her. Because that's what she wanted. I did it.
Thank God. Thank God it's over. And you did it. You did it.
To find Francis Schroeder guilty of murder one, you must believe 5 things. First, that Mark Schroeder intentionally killed Franklin Bradshaw. Second, that Francis Schroeder intentionally requested, commanded, encouraged, and/or aided Mark Schroeder in this murder. Third, that Francis Schroeder did this for pecuniary or other personal gain.
Sit there, will you, Mark?
Yes, Mike George. But they've only been out for 4.5 hours. Yeah. Yeah, okay, thanks. The jury's coming in with a verdict.
Fourth, the defendant's hope for personal gain must be the cause, not merely the result, of the murder.
The jury's coming in with a verdict. We have to go in.
We're ready.
And lastly, you must each believe all the previous points beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Dawson, you're the foreman, I believe. Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Please hand the verdict to the bailiff. The defendant will rise. Read the verdict aloud.
We, the jurors impaneled in this case, find the defendant, Francis Bernice Schroeder, guilty of criminal homicide, murder in the first degree.
This is a capital offense, Your Honor. We move the defendant's bail be revoked.
Request denied. The defendant will remain free in the custody of her lawyers until sentencing.
We'll do something, don't worry. Don't worry, we'll do something. My daughter, Frances, who I love very much, has been unjustly convicted of a crime she had no part in. She has done nothing wrong. She has been a fine, devoted mother. I do not know of a young woman who has had the horrible life she has had. She had 2 broken marriages. Frances went through years of total hell, but she persevered and became a leader in the cultural community.
What about Mark? What did you say about Mark?
My grandson, Mark Schroeder, is a terrific liar, a born thief, and a maniac for destruction. The prosecution has played on the hatreds and fears of this seriously disturbed criminal to get him to testify against his mother. Where is the justice in this bizarre tragedy?
I promised you I'd come. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to. Are they giving you trouble out there?
She could get the death penalty, Mike. I can't handle it if I lose her.
I received a truly heartrending letter over the weekend It was from Bernice Bradshaw, pleading for mercy in your case. I consider your whole family are the victims in this case. There were substantial aggravating factors as well as some mitigating ones. And the former well may outweigh the latter. But the state has failed to satisfy me that the death penalty is appropriate. As required by the statutes of the state of Utah, I sentence you to life imprisonment. I remand you forthwith to the custody of the Salt Lake Sheriff. This court is adjourned.
No, you can't come near me. I stand on my constitutional rights, and part of those rights are my religious freedom. He can't take this away from me. You can't take this away from me. The man who gave it to me said I should wear it. Oh, wait! That is part of my right to wear it! You can't take that away from me! I have rights!
Mark and Frances Schroeder are both serving time at the Utah State Prison. They have neither seen nor spoken with each other. Mark is scheduled to be paroled in 1994. His mother is scheduled in 1996. Bernice Bradshaw is 83 and visits both of them on a regular basis. Larry Bradshaw lives in Salt Lake City. Mary Lou Kaiser and her daughter go to see Mark every week, and Larry sometimes drives them. And Richard Behrens tried and failed to obtain the $10,000 reward the family offered for any information about the killing of Franklin Bradshaw.